Welcome, everyone. This is Camilla Blossom, and I'm really excited that you're here. This is a preview of the Land Tailor training that I feel called to offer this fall. And it is a 10-week program going deeply into how you work with land. And I'm just really thrilled to have so many people interested in this. It's felt like it just never was the right time to offer it. Maybe I needed to learn more, and I think other people needed to be ready. But there's such a calling right now, I think, for all of us to weave our magic, both in that way of working with light, and what I call land light alchemy, really working with the energy, the subtle spiritual beings, the magic, bringing back, retrieving that energy once again, and also those more physical practices and ways and techniques and tools, things like crystals and flower essences and sound and things that we can actually go out on the land and celebrate and enjoy and learn to do some ritual and ceremony. So yeah, I'm super excited. And I want to just open up the gallery for a moment and just say hi to everyone that's here live. And we have Alice and Sandy and Betsy, Beezy, Margaret, Nicola. Did I miss anyone? I think there's someone that might be in their car too that can't speak. But I'm curious where your lands are, like where your home is. I know I just saw Allison earlier. She's in Portland, and Betsy's in Vancouver. Where are the other souls here from? You can either type in a comment or you can hop on for a minute. So I kind of want to really honor these lands we come from.
I'm up in the mountains, about 90 miles north of Seattle.
Oh, nice. Beautiful. So Rainier, near there?
No, that's south. I'm north, so I'm maybe 60 miles south of Mount Baker. So I'm in between.
Okay, got
I,
it.
I can actually turn in any direction and see big mountains everywhere.
Okay, invite those mountain spirits. Portland, Oregon, Flagstaff, Sedona. Beautiful.
I'm in Eugene.
Eugene, great. Okay, I think to start with, I just want to do a little, oh, here we go. I'm on an island off the shores of BC, Canada, called Haida Gwaii. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but Cambridge, Massachusetts. Beautiful. Okay, well, to start with, I want to just do an honoring that I always love to do when I work with land. And so I consider every kind of thing, every event I do, every class, every connection as an opportunity to do ritual and ceremony and to honor, especially when we gather in community. So I have some sacred tobacco, and I just want to do this on behalf of all of us and acknowledge the indigenous ancestors of all the lands where we each are. And just take a moment to bring our acknowledgement, our gratitude, our honoring of these spirits, these ancestral spirits. And I know in where I am, I want to honor the Cowlitz, Yakima, and Chinook. If you know the tribes and the names, feel free to hold that. If you don't, just hold that you wish to honor them. Beautiful. And I also made an offering for the elementals, the fairies, the unicorns, all the different nature spirits, and it has calendula and mica and roses, and it smells beautiful. And so I just want to offer this. I'll be putting this outside afterwards on the Mother Earth. But just for a moment, give our gratitude to Mother Earth, the beauty of the land, where we come from, where we stand at this moment, beauty of all the lands of the Mother Earth. And just open our hearts, ground into that crystalline grid of the Mother Earth. Nice. And with that offering, just open to asking permission that we on this call can open to the different spirits of the land and celebrate with them, mesh with them, maybe open in a way that will give you guidance. Is this a path that feels right for you? Is this something you want to deepen? Is this something you really want to engage with? So, and feel free to make any comments or ask questions as we go along. I thought it would be fun to begin with. I think I'll switch because it's a little easier to see when you can see me here. What I wanted to share first is these cards that I've been working on for quite a while. And my graphic designer friend, Andrea Dumbecki, has done the graphics for them. And she came up with a prototype. And I thought, it's really time to get this ready for this group, whoever is coming to really work with the land. Because what this deck is about is all the different spirits, the wind spirits, the she, the crystals. And so it's a really lovely tool to use to work with land, to kind of focus in on who you want to work with. And I also talk about the land council a lot. And a lot of the way that I've tended to work with land is it's really not about me trying to be powerful in myself on my own. But as you know, when you work with the team of spirits, when you open to the fairies, you open to the spirits of the tree and the indigenous ancestors, Mother Earth herself, you create this relationship, and then that's where the real power to affect change is. And so that's the kind of work that the land healing, land healer training is truly about. It's becoming powerful in your own mastery. So yours may look really different from someone else's, how you engage and what you focus on, even when you do this land work. But to know that a lot of it, the way that feels the most powerful in affecting change is when we're in those relationships and we call in spirits above, the spirits we love, the spirits all around us to work with us. And so this felt really helpful. So I think what I'll do, because there's a number of others that are going to be watching this call later, that I'm going to pick 5 cards. And so if you want to think of a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and then I'm going to pick them. And then that way you can sort of receive a card. So I'm going to pick number 1 first. And that's wild animals. So if you pick this card, it might be an opportunity to open to an animal totem. Like there might be an animal, a bird, a wild creature on your land that wants to teach you or share something with you, communicate, open that kind of connection with you. I picked this one the other day. I was doing a clearing job out in the White Salmon area, and it was a really beautiful community of young people that are working with land and wanted me to help kind of clear away some of the past. There was a lot of spirits, and so we did a ceremony to release these spirits. And just as an example of the kind of thing that happens at these is it was a death song that I sing that allows the different spirits, discarnate spirits, ghosts, indigenous spirits, or any death energy to leave the land. And when we got to the last part, which is when the spirits can leave, like the wind just came up and was gusting really strongly. And it was, like, okay, yes, thank you. And so I think probably if you're on this call, you have that connection with nature where you have those synchronistic experiences happen. And those are often kind of guiding and telling us, yes, that you're on the right track. This is happening. The wind was actually helping these spirits move on. And so, okay, 2. Mountains, mountain spirit. So if you pick 2, then definitely call in. You could do this right now. Call in the mountain spirit to be with you during the call, and they would like to work with you. I do often call them in. We were just talking about mountains, so I'll call in the Lewitt, Pateau, and Y East, the 3 Cascade mountains that are in my area. So I invite you to do that. And they bring a huge amount of crystalline energy and grounding, as we know, and really elevate our consciousness. Three, Seaweed Woman. And there's some story about her. I actually had an experience out on the Olympic Peninsula of seeing the Seaweed Woman emerge, carried by this goddess out of the water. And then she was put down next to me, and I was told to receive her and to bring that ocean goddess energy into my own being. And then I ended up going to my friend's house and meeting a chief of the Macaw tribe who happened to be visiting her. And he said that was their creation. That is their creation myth, or excuse me, creation story. And so the land was holding this story, and I tapped into that story when I went down and made my offerings at the beach. The story just emerged and came through. So like that way that land carries stories, and part of being a land healer is opening to, what are the stories? What's happened in the past? How can we connect more with those stories? And some of the stories are beautiful creation stories, right? I know a lot of land is covered over, but this is an opportunity to awaken. Four is the blue elf. And this is a being that came to me when I was in Hood River at a crossroads. I didn't know where to go. And this woman that I was going to be teaching with, doing herbal teaching and ceremony from Mosier, Oregon, she invited me out. We were talking, and the blue elf had been working with me for a couple months, and then the blue elf came to her while we were together and said, invite Camilla to come and live here on the land. I beseech you, you're 2 medicine women, and we want to create this fin-torn garden with you. And so I did, and she heard, and I lived there for 3 years. I learned a ton about land healing, just being on the land and listening. I made a unicorn garden for the stars and worked with the different elemental altars, doing lots of things. And so he's a really interesting guy who wants to work with other people, and he's got a strong kind of direct, cryptic communication. But if you ask to work with him, he'll really help work with bringing the cosmic new energies, new 5D energies into the land, into the earth. Plus, he really helps us unwind cultural aspects. So he's a really interesting guy, or elf. Okay, the last one's 5. Water dragon. Okay, so let's receive the beautiful nourishment of the waters. The dragons love us to sing at the waters, to dance with them, to appreciate water. I had this experience along the Colorado River where the water dragon showed up. I was starting to walk away from the river and I kept feeling this pull on my wrist, like, come back, come back. And then the dragon started speaking to me and saying, we want you, we want you to watch us, watch me. And the dragon swam vertically in a spiral and then up and down the river. And what it was showing was I was working on doing water wheel ceremony and traveling with a native elder man. And so it was confirmation of what we were doing, but it was also showing that how important it is to feed the elementals, to feed the spirit, to acknowledge them, to help them, and be co-creative partners with them. Because then they can do their work of caring for the water and circulating the energy and keeping it healthy. So they really wanted more people to come to the water. And even if you do a simple thing, go to the water and say, thank you, water. Even simple things are super powerful. But they love doing spiral dances and having children come to the water. And so there's a lot of beautiful magic. I did meet the water dragon in the Columbia before, and it loves to hear songs. So if you're a singer or like sound, the water is definitely receptive to that. All right, well, I hope that opened you a little to some new friends. And then I think I'll share a little bit about kind of my background and how I got into this, because I'm feeling there's some of you out there who may have similar backgrounds or just feel this pull, obviously, to engage with the earth more. And for me, I always had a connection with the land as a child, and growing up going to the Adirondacks in New York State, in the woods and the lakes there. But it was when I began making flower essences in 2000 that I noticed making the essences, there was a lot of spirits around. The spirits of the land were showing up, and they wanted to make them with me, with us, when I made them with others. And so there was this indigenous spirits that would come, and then this different spirit. I was learning about the different spirits of the different trees and the different places and the different waters, different locations, mostly in the Columbia River Gorge, and then also in my travels to Hawaii and Sedona and Mount Shasta and different places that Texas, that I spent time in my journeys. And just felt there was a really strong desire for these spirits of the land, all the different ones, were wanting to work with people. And so that's been, from the essences, I went on to teach a lot of people, do a lot of meditations to connect people with dragons, with unicorns, with trees, with flowers, with places, with the earth. And so it's been this continual joy for me of this beautiful connection that I have with Mother Earth. How can I share that and help others find that too, or find their way of doing that? And what I noticed is that a lot of people were coming to me that needed or wanted access to these different energies. And so I was noticing that coming to these events was really catalyzing this. And a lot of times people would see fairies for the first time, or they'd have these experiences. So there's something that I had learned to open, and then I was able to help others, through the, I call them attunements and activations and transmissions that I'm open to, would come through, and then help others open to the different energies. I've also noticed too that I'm a very initiatory kind of person. I hold space and help awaken, like rebirth, renewal, initiation into that next level. And so what I found with working with land, there's such a beautiful opportunity for our own healing to come through as we're in service to the Mother Earth. So it's really not a separate thing. That as we work with the earth, work with places, our homes, our these lands we love, like I'd noticed that even the devas, like they would, let's say they come across very veiled. This happens with a lot of water devas. Like I'll see them and it was very veiled. And then I realized that that was a reflection of myself too. And so nature has that ability to be an oracle, to be a reflection, and also even land, working with people's land and doing healings or ceremony or blessings or different ways of working, that oftentimes there are things going on in the land that were a reflection of the people that live there. And so it's a really beautiful opportunity when you work with land that you're really working with the people. And sometimes when I've done the land healing, people come and are participating, and that's really beautiful because then they can open and learn more. And sometimes I'll just do it on my own. And then, so as I was going along doing these different, learning more and starting to open to do them for people, it just felt like there was this opening more and more to this work and this way that us light workers, even as we do, because I also do like planetary light work and meditation, as well as working with people's houses or land. Like there's ways that we can work that are really powerful, that can come from that higher perspective, or can come from working on the ground with people, but they're all very connected. So just want to check in, and if anyone has any comments or questions. How's everyone doing? Good. Yeah, you're welcome to, if you don't want to like unmute, you're welcome to just put your any questions in there. Okay. So what I thought would be, like I was saying, I was really called to share this now, and it's something, this process is something that I've developed a lot of it on my own, and also learned from different teachers, and kind of integrated all these different ways that I've learned over the years. And so what I found was I'm a very intuitive person. I would imagine a lot of you are too. Very empathic, very intuitive, tuned into the energies. But also sometimes I needed more structure and foundation and like grounding, especially when you're doing some bigger work with land, because there's so many different aspects to it. So what I found really helpful for these, and I'll share some places I've worked on too, some like case studies. But what I found really helpful was to come up with kind of a process. And I did this for myself to be grounded in it and also to be kind of more streamlined. So I've created this whole like checklist that has like, this is the process you can go through to do land healing, starting with a land questionnaire. And so I've noticed the last couple land healings I've done, I've given them the questionnaire, and it's been a beautiful opportunity for people that have land to really dive in and go, okay, what are the issues here? What's the history? Who are the native tribes that lived here? What are the water sources? Like, what is places that feel good on the land? What are places that feel funky? Is there a tree that's dominant? And so you can start going in and exploring more things about the land with people. And then there's also the aspect of how you need to be aligned to do this work. Like if your energy isn't very clear and you go out and do this work, then you're bringing some of that energy into the earth, and that's not really helpful for trying to create a really beautiful place. And so, and also just to feel safe and aligned, and how you ground yourself. So there's some practices I like to do to prepare, and some of you may have, a lot of experience with that, and so it's something but it's something I do want to teach people as a preparatory aspect. And then also what tools you can work with. I work a lot with flower essences because I've made them a long time, and they can actually work really well, not only to put on land and water to help the frequencies shift, but also I use them to help elementals heal. I use them for disincarnate energies, ghosts. Sometimes they're having trouble resolve what they did on earth and they need help moving on. So I'll make essences for them, or I'll give them that. And it's amazing because it really clears their energy and helps them move forward. That happened when I was in this Sunday. There was one spirit, a native indigenous spirit, that didn't want to go. And so I had some green bog orchid, and I gave a little bit of that, and I had brought a dried sunflower. So those seem to be medicines that, it's kind of wild how that came to be. Flower essence is not for people who are alive, but people who have passed. So that's another way that kind of came to me when I was working on some pretty intense land along the Columbia. This chief spirit had come in, and he had been hung, so there was a lot of energy, but he was ready to leave. And so I gave him some essences, and he just started crying. He was so grateful to feel these flowers and these energies again. And then he was able to move on. So it was a pretty powerful way. There's also sound tools, crystals. So we'll go into working with tools. And then I've created like how you would do an intention for the land, aligning it with the attention of the people or yourself. What a land clearing prayer, and different things on here, like how you would clear cords from emotions, from attachment that people who've been on the land before have had, or soul aspects that may be lingering around, or soul contracts. There's also working with vortexes, clearing historical imprints, which is a common thing with land that has gone through a lot, is they have like energy in the landscape that's, it's like an imprint of an energy in the land. And it's so interesting because it could be like a death energy, it could be a betrayal, it could be just some distorted energy that gets sort of trapped inside the land, that energy. And what I've noticed is, like, whenever there's a lot of stuff going on with the house or the people or even the neighborhood, it's because those things are similar to what's trapped in the land, right? It's like law of attraction. And so what I've noticed, there was one, I was working on a horse refuge down in the Bend area, and she was telling me that they had in their little neighborhood pocket, they had the police come because someone fired a gun at one house. They had cancer at another house. They had domestic violence at another house. It was almost like every house had some really intense kind of energy going on. And so we did the clearing, and just to know, like, you can do this long distance. I did this with the people, the couple there. We were on Zoom, and then one of my apprentices was with me, and she's in Colorado. So we were working long distance, and they were there. So just to know, like, this work we're going to be doing a lot of long distance, because going through this process, you can work with your own land. Like, we can go through each of these each week, and then you can work with your land and learn it. They're also open to new ways, or if your intuition is telling you some different things. That to me is what's really exciting about this. These are things I've learned, but there's a lot of new ways opening. And so to be able to work with your own land, or a land that you choose, to go through this process. Yeah, and then kind of from that clearing, that place of, really, like, when I'm doing these, I'm coming from that place of unconditional love and honoring and blessing and no judgment, accept whatever's there, honor it, honor the experiences that these ancestors, or these elementals or the fairies have had, but also then doing retrieval work where you're really calling back, okay, we want the fairies to return. We want the gnomes to come back. We want the unicorns here. We want to bring more magic in. When I lived in Mosier, the other woman I lived with was setting up kind of a Maya temple in one forest. And I was like kind of eyeing it like, oh, I really wish the unicorns could be here, because it was such a nice little forest. And then I heard this voice go, do you want to see the unicorn temple? I'm like, okay, yes. So they led me in between an apple tree and a crabapple tree. They said, you have to go through here to get to it. And then, so I went through there. It's like the portal. And then all the way across the pasture to this sort of section where it was right on the edge of the Columbia Gorge, so you could see down into the river, and the west wind would come in there. And it was a circle, or more like a space of pine trees that had just a really comforting, lovely feeling. And so they said, this is it. And so I worked with that and was able to help them. Then I started seeing baby unicorns and realized, oh, there's like a rookery or a nursery here of baby unicorns. And I also saw a lot of like force energy that would go on the land. And so you can start observing like what's going on in your land, and then start communicating like, oh, how can I help you create this space here that's safe for you to do your work with the earth and bring in these energies that are needed, and also like work with the land. So like the unicorns love to circle around the land and protect it. But then they were like, oh, we like to move too much. We don't want to be at our stations, like at the entrance of the land. So well, how about the gnomes or some other more still like being? Could you be more the guardians at the gate, So it's just interesting to tune into these different beings and seeing who wants to work with you and how. And for some, it might be less about the individual beings, but more about just the feeling. Really honoring that we're all really different too, how we respond to land and work with the subtle energy. So for some of us, it may be very visual and we see everything going on. And for me, it's more feeling and knowing. So I don't always see. Sometimes I'll see if I close my eyes with a more spiritual sight, but I tend to be more kinesthetic and just knowing and have a feeling about things. So a lot of this work too is like practicing trust, right? Practicing trusting our own intuition and our knowing, and having these different experiences that can help build that sense of knowing, like, yeah, I have a feeling about this land, or this just feels like I just automatically walked over. Like on Sunday when I did the work out in the gorge on their land, we went into a circle of 19 oak trees, and it was this gorgeous place. And so they started walking in the center, but I just like let my body walk, and it kind of went over to this little area, and that's where we sat. And like, yeah, I think there's a vortex here. My body just wanted to be like not in the exact center, but just in this area. And so that's where we worked. And then after we were finished, I was like, oh my gosh, I can feel like we helped to activate it by being there. So for me, this kind of excitement of, oh yeah, the invocation. I also have this beautiful fairy invocation, like how you call in all the beings and create that circle with the land council. So really it is both a very intuitive process, but also for those who want to have more of the step-by-step, there's an opportunity to kind of go through this process together so that you can learn it and it sort of, we can keep track of it. And the other way that I use the checklist, which I find really helpful, like I say, there can be so many different things, is let's say I'm working on someone's land and like I'm having a feeling about things, and definitely using my intuition and my feeling and what's going on and what they're talking about. But then also kind of, you can go through the list and say, oh, you know, is there working with a pendulum or working with your intuition? You know, is there some work on the vortexes I need to do? Are there any vortexes that are open that need attention? Is there some memories that I need to clear? So you can even get confirmation, like using a pendulum to check in. I even use a pendulum to do some clearing, so I'm going to teach about that. It's another really great tool to work with. So yeah, I just thought, like, to learn this, like my other course, Sacred Earth Connection, is a self-study course, and it's something that you can purchase on my website. And that's like going through foundational land honoring practices. So if this is like a lot of new stuff for you and you feel like you want to just do the foundational work of like how you bless water and how you make offerings and how you would open to the fairy realms and those kind of things, I would definitely recommend that course, the Sacred Earth Connection. So this one will be kind of taking it to the next step and actually starting to do more work with the land, with the clearing and harmonizing and awakening. So yeah, to me, it just feels like, I don't know, there's something really deep inside that I feel so like fulfilled and so excited and honored to be doing this work. And I realize it really is sacred work. Like when you're helping spirits move on, you know, you're there for them at that sacred moment where they leave this planet. When you're there on the land with the different spirits and the people that live there, it's a really beautiful sacred relationship. And so yeah, I do feel called to share that and help. I think my stage of life, I'm a crone, I'm an honorary grandmother, elder, and I know some of you are as well. And I think there is this this call for a lot of us, especially as women and of all different ages, to really step forward more and not only in the way we can heal ourselves, but also that we can be, you know, ambassadors and guardians and caretakers and nurturers of the planet, and be modeling that for others, and also be elders for others who want to learn that and want to be part of it. I'm going to open it up again. I know you don't have to be shy if you want to ask something. And actually, Betsy too. I've done work with Betsy on her place. If you want to share a little about that, that might be nice. It's great to have you.
I remember you brought your checklist, and you found the best spot to sit near the largest maple tree on the property. And we both really tuned in to the history, even previous owners of the property, what their emotional state was, what they may have left behind. And it brought the property alive. I felt like the property really appreciated the recognition, and I found I'm really interested in this kind of work, and pretty much whenever I travel, I'm doing land healing, and I'd like to learn some extra skills on how to do that. So I had a question. You have 10 sessions? Are you going to have a topic for each one, or are you going to go on location at any time?
Well, because the people, yeah, those are good questions. About the location, I would love to do some of that work. So that might have to be a separate thing, because a lot of times the Zoom people are from all different places, but I would love to have the opportunity at some point to do that, maybe as a separate thing that we can come together and do some work together that way.
Well, I was wondering if you yourself as a teacher would be going out to places and talking to us about what you're picking up and.
Oh, okay. That's a possibility. You know, to be honest, like the spirits keep saying like, okay, you've got like this body of work, and a lot of it's like on the website that explains the different training, like what it will bring, the different things that we can go into. So yeah, I think each week's going to be a different topic. I think they're going to be guiding it along the way, depending on who comes, what we want to do in the group experience, because I feel like it's a little harder to tell, and I don't want to just lock us in that this is what we're doing when the group has a different energy.
Okay.
But definitely each week would be a different experience. And also to let you know, I have what's called a member press course. And so everyone that's in this will receive that. And what it is you'll have access to go on my website and go into the course, and then it's all nicely organized. So the video from the class, like if you miss it or want to watch it again, will be there. There'll also be a lot of supportive materials. If there's other videos, let's say we're talking about mother trees, and I'll put some other classes or videos or writing, different support material. If anyone's like, oh, I really want to learn more about the blue elf, like I can put material on him on there. So it's an opportunity to like see where people are at, like look at everyone's intentions, what they really want to get out of this, and frame it in that way. And so that so everyone comes away feeling like, oh yeah, I really got to dive into my whole fairy realm work with working with land, or I got to do this, or I got an overview. Because what I noticed, like I've done some support calls for the Sacred Earth Connection group, the self-study. I felt like it might be helpful to work with those people. And so we spent some time meeting, and what was really fun to see was, each month they'd come and kind of share experiences too of what they were doing. But it was like, oh, like you're obviously a tree person and the trees are talking to you. And she's like, oh yeah, you're right. And then another woman was led into like this willow tunnel by this creek by her house. And she was having this whole experience with a willow, and like, okay, the waters are talking to you. And so it also is a way like people were learning more about themselves and what was calling them. And so there may be those opportunities in this that certain spirits are like, oh, we really want you to work with the water, and that could be something that you really go deeper into. So just allowing, everyone to even though we're going to go through the learning together, like you can also kind of bring some focus if you like. And I really want everyone to have one of these decks too, because that's another way that, okay, for this week, I may be picking like a card for the week too, and say, okay, we're going to really work with the gnomes this week. And this is a good week to work with the mother tree and work with the tree energy and how to work with land and how that would relate as well. So does that answer your question? Okay, good. Yeah, anyone else? Easy?
Yeah, I love what I'm hearing you describe so far. I had a couple of the way you phrase things on your two write-ups. I just was curious. One that says, and this was about tonight's kind of, introduction to it all. This training will set you on a path of becoming a land healer alchemist, as well as empower you to step into higher role as leader, teacher, healer, earth keeper, water. So I think that last part is more what you were just talking about, right? So there is a kind of a process that you go through, but it's also guided in the moment with the energetic envelope, the way I would describe it, that's come together for this particular training.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Okay.
what's going on right now. And yeah, I guess realistically too, like I would love everyone to feel at the end of 10 weeks that they've, done a ceremony and ritual and connected and done all these different practices for their land, and that have some confidence that, I might be able to take this, or to feel confident that you can take this and maybe go to another place, or when you travel, like go to another place and feel like you can use these skills and things you learned, and even go through the list if you're at that stage. It's a practice. Or it may be that you receive like, I have my intention and my prayer, my invocation, and I love the ceremony aspect. So that's really what I want to pour into the land, is my love and my ceremony, my singing, and the essences. Because I don't want to pin you in that you have to do everything my way. I think each of us is very unique, but I want to give you a good broad stroke of some of the ways that I work. And also that having a practice and a protocol, I think, keeps you safe and keeps you kind of clean with working with spirits and energies. And because sometimes it can get a lot. I've had places where there's a lot of funky energy, death energy, I call it, or, where there's been a suicide. There's one place, and, just to share, like, okay, if you go places and it's really intense, like I used to just sort of go right into it. But I'm like, no, I'm going to teach you right now. You don't want to. Like things I've learned along the way, like stand back or do it long distance. And there's all these practices you can do to create more harmony and to uplift it and move this energy. And a lot of it for me is, it's kind of like land and places. It's like the energy field of a human, right? We have a tube torus. We have an energy field that flows, bubbles out the top of our head, all around our body, and then back up through our central channel in the opposite way. There's like a flowing energy, right? Well, land has that same energy. And so thinking about, well, how can we circulate the energy on the land and help it flow more? So there's just a lot of treasures, the kind of things I've actually held really kind of secretive treasures, even, I think, because I needed to learn them and integrate them and hold them and really feel like they're mine and this is how I want to do it and it feels good. And so I haven't really shared them with that many people, some students along the way, but this is my first time that I'll be really like, I'm going to share everything I can with you guys and really help empower you with these different tools and such. I might have gone a little off track, but is that kind of what you're?
Yeah, that's great. I just wanted the last part of that, which is taken, just so you know, it's taken from on your website. There's a description more in depth about the actual training, right? And in that you say this is a first level training to become a land healer. So I guess part of the energetics and my logistics blend with that. So how do you've spoken a little bit about this, but do you see as we walk through this path, in our own, bringing our own uniqueness to it, at the end of the 10 weeks, do you see that there's more for us to then journey in various ways with you, or that we would feel ready to start to do things? Or, it seems to me that the land is always going to be an evolving.
Yeah. No, those are good questions. And I think I'm still not crystal clear myself because everything's shifting so much on this planet all the time. And there's all these new things that we're learning. And so I guess to say, like, I think everyone's really different. Like some people I teach and they just pick it up and off they go. Like I had one apprentice, like I just did a few things and then she just integrated in her practice and like started, doing land healing places. And she's off and running. And so I think some of it is like where people start from, what experiences you've had, how this resonates for you. I also see if this is something that you want to continue, like it may be that we do this group and it feels like, oh my gosh, like this feels really good, let's kind of continue. Then I guess I'm just available for those that feel like they would want to continue. And that can show up in different ways. It can be individual mentorship. It can be, let's keep the group going and do the next round. But I really like to hold it that you will feel, not to string you along, like if you just really want to do one thing and take it from there. It will be set up on this course too, where you can go access it and work with it over time as well, even when we're finished, so you can keep practicing. But I guess I just honestly don't know like how fast or how people will pick it up or what way they will. So it's a little, since this is the first time I'm doing it, that's why I'm not, gonna have like a guarantee that you're gonna come away feeling like yeah. I think time is changing too. Like I used to do 9-month or year-long courses, and now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do a 10-week. So it's a different energy. But we will have time, to go through the checklists and the practices I have, and there'll be a lot of support materials. So in a sense, it's both a course that I'm teaching and we're doing in a community, but it's also can be a self-study, which can happen at the same time and continue on. So I think that's a good way of looking at it. Like if you feel like you need to work on certain things more, have that opportunity.
And you said the course materials, that we're working with and through will be online. Would we continue to have access to that afterwards, or?
Yeah, that's what I'm just maybe checking in, like how long you would want access to that. I might leave that up there, even for a few years or something, so you can continue to work with it because it's to keep it going. Yeah.
I have another question, and maybe I've missed it, but if you have the day set out and the time and how long the sessions are going to be?
Yeah. I have these on my website, and the first day is September 13th. So that's coming up. That's next Monday. If you need to miss that or a different one, that's why I'm making the videos so that you can watch the video and get the information. And so the dates are Monday evenings in September, October, November. There's one break in the middle. So it'll be weekly. Then there's one break in the middle. There's also, I'm offering mentorship with me personally. And I'm saying half an hour. I mean, I'm okay to do more. I just wanted to have like a starting place for that. But I felt like it would be nice to get to know each of you more and support you from having more understanding of where you're coming from, what your intentions are, you know, what your land is like, what you want to be doing. I think that will really help make the group more cohesive too, because I'll know more about you. And also anything that you need support with, that call can be scheduled. It'd be nice to schedule those maybe in September or early October, to connect. So yeah, that's how it's set up. And any other questions? Okay, let me just look at my notes here too. And just, I think one of the things that that might be helpful to, just going to switch over so you can see me a little more, is to understand that a lot of these teachings, they aren't like heavily informational teachings. That's not how I work, and that's not what this work is about. And so there's this ability to be learning and integrating and working with these energies that are, because you're receiving attunements, you're being introduced to these energies, you're being aligned with these spirits or with your best alignment to do this work. You're also receiving activation for how you can show up more and bring this work through, and the transmissions of energy. So it's a very kind of shamanic learning, and some of it even happens like when we're sleeping. I've had a lot of people who've worked with me. They're like, "Oh, I had dreams, and we were all doing these things together, and our circle was like, you know, things are happening in that way." And so just to know that there's kind of magic here in the ways that it works, and being open to flowing with that. And even though we have like a structure that to flow with, like a lot of it is like opening to the spirits and to the spirits of land and to the Mother Earth, and bringing your love and your prayers, and like what wants to happen here, and how can I bring my energy, my service, what I offer to the land, and support it. So in that simple way, maybe that's enough. That, yeah, there's a lot of different tools and techniques, but to start with, it's bringing the prayers and the blessings. And also things like working with, well, I guess to say my motto again, you may have seen it on my website, but we are not here to heal Mother Earth. We are here to heal our relationship with her. And so there's this way that's what I see this land healing training, whether you call yourself a land healer or land alchemist, or you're blessing the land, or don't use a name at all, that it's really about opening that relationship with the spirits of land, with the weaving of amends between humanity and the Mother Earth. Like, I think on that level, there's just something that naturally will happen and does happen when we give our offerings, when we make our prayers, when we do this work, that there's like this magic that's way bigger than we can even imagine that goes on. Even like the Water Dave is saying, the simple things we do can be so powerful. So I think it's also to know that, like, trying to keep it simple so it's not like too much to integrate, and at the same time having some tools and ideas that you can use to develop more skills. Yeah. Um, Another example, there's a herbalist store in Portland, Oregon, and they asked me to do a blessing there. So it was less about land, it was like a business blessing. And so I came in and circled with the people that own it and work there, and just bringing, like, holding a circle together and giving our blessing and our honoring and having people speak to that. If that's the kind of way you want to share this work, it's another way of having, being part of circles and holding that space for people. You can also do it very quietly in the background. But in this case, I was holding that circle, and the oak tree really came through, and there was this whole kind of beautiful dance of the spirit of the business coming in and honoring that spirit and honoring the land where it is. And then they got the idea during this time, like, oh, let's paint a big oak tree in the mural back here, and let's put some oak branches on here, and that's going to be like our grounding and our centering, like the mother tree of the business. And so there's different ways to invite you to learn about it. Like, yeah, there's land you can go and work on, but you can do it in very different kinds of ways, public or private. I tend to see a lot of us nature people aren't necessarily wanting to be out there leading circles, but sometimes that's a really powerful thing. And like I say, there's the long distance work that we'll be doing together, and then there's getting out on the land. So there's a lot of different ways. Yeah, so we're coming to the end of our time. I do want to speak to a little bit about the fairy activism events, because I would love for those of you who are going to join me in this training, that if you want to connect more with, like, being a light worker, working on that level, the fairy activism are by donation events that I hold usually once a month for an hour. I also have them on my YouTube channel if you want to look at them. But it's kind of an opportunity to bring your mastery, even if you don't know who you work with, or you do, come together in community and co-create together. And one of the things that the fairy beings and all the different spirits of the Land Council keep telling me is they want instructions from us humans. So in other words, they want to work with us, but they're waiting for us to tell them what to do, how they can work with us, how they can help us with the land, how they can help us in the gardens, how they can help us heal. So I really invite you, regardless if you come or not, to consider that, like how you can ask and receive, or in an ask and receive universe. And so that the fairy activism event is kind of more the planetary light work, but it feeds in really well for doing the land work as well. So, and I also, for those that would like to step up more and be guiding or teaching or facilitating, like, I want to support you. If you want to, like, come on that call, or I can make space for you to practice doing some of your own, bringing your own work forward. I'm really happy to do that as well. Kind of help open the way for more learning. So I wanted to tell you about that. I'm going to do one on the equinox too. And so I know this program will be more full, and a lot of skills and a lot of learning. And if it feels like, I think everyone has a different way they learn well. I really like being community, and that's what I want to create with this, is to have a community of us that really is present for each other and does this work and and shares and grows and learns from each other and tries new things and practices some of the things I have to share. So, so I think there's a lot of beautiful juice there. At the same time, I know some people, are more quiet and doing their own thing and rather just watch what's going on. And that's fine too. But it is an opportunity for what it is that you want to move with, the energy you want to move with. All right. Great. So I think that's our time. I'm happy to stay on if anyone has more questions, want to talk about anything. Yeah.
I just had, do we have your direct email in the information you gave us, or is that through the Everbright? I think is the only email we have.
Oh, okay. I can give it to you right now.
Yeah, and is there a place on the site to?
Yeah, actually on camillablossom.com, there's under About Me, there's like my information. You can call me. You can send an email.
And there's a registration link too?
Yeah, and what I'll do is I'm gonna send this video to all of you afterwards, and I'll put a link to the page where all the information is for this course. And then if you sign up there, you can do payment plan or pay all at once, and it'll take you right in there. And then I'll kind of set you up in the course. And yeah, that's pretty much all you need to do. And then contacting me on the website. Yeah, there's different places where you can type things in, or if you want my email, it's camillablossom1111@gmail. So it's just my name with 1111@gmail.com. So yeah, don't hesitate. Don't be shy. Feel free to call me or email or whatever. I really want to, connect with you all and just check in and see where you're at. Like I say, very much guided by the group experience and where people are coming from, what they're really wanting. And one of the first things that you'll see on the course materials is like, what is your intention? Like, what do you really want to receive? And what I find is when we start that way, right? And it could be equality, it could be, I really want these skills, I want to be able to do this. When you state that and do that, then it happens. That's my experience of it. I remember my mystery school group last year, and we went through all the intentions at the end of it. It's like, oh wow, yeah. Sometimes you forget on the way, and then it just brings more power to what it is. It kind of brings spirit in to help you, align you with that. Yeah. Yeah, and like I say, it starts on Monday, so it's sort of a quick, and sometimes I give a lot of time and stuff, but I realize sometimes it's better just like, does this feel right or not? Like, I'm gonna go for it, Sometimes it's better not to have as much time, just like, do you feel called? Yes or no. And you can like ask the spirits of your land. Like a lot of times I'm called to go to places because the spirit of the land told the person to contact me. Or there's ghosts that want to help leaving, and they kind of find a way for the person to connect with me. And so just to know like that power of asking the spirits, like, is this for you? And the other thing I was going to mention, like if you'd rather do like one-on-one mentorship, I can do private mentorship if you feel that, there's some things you like to learn, but at your own pace. Or so just know, like if this is something you're really interested in, but not sure about the format, there's different formats. I just feel like I want to get this work out there, and my vision is really to share this out with beautiful ambassadors and souls like yourself, and then have you be sharing it out from there. And like as we do that, then we can awaken and spread much further the healing for Mother Earth, the connection, the reconnection with the land. So, yeah. See if anything else is coming through. Yeah, is there any other questions or what you'd like to see, any that your intentions are coming forward, or also the work that you're doing? Like, it's fun to see like the work people are already doing, because a lot of times there's this natural kind of integration that can happen. Like, oh yeah, I work with people doing energy work, and can naturally like, oh yeah, integrate that and work with the land as well. All right. Okay, well, it looks like unless there's anything else, I'll just stay on for a moment. But thank you so much. Yeah, and I mean, I'd love to have all of you join me. That would be amazing, to work with you and really go on this journey. If you decide not to, I totally am excited about what journey you do take. And maybe some way we'll weave that together. I would love that. And so really honor the path that we're each journeying on. And I know each one of you, the fact you're on this call, is doing beautiful things already. And so I really want to give my gratitude and applaud that, and have you know how important that is. Like, I think that's a message too from a lot of the land council is, you know, every little thing we do is like a very beautiful, powerful thing, and we really matter, and that mastery is moving through us. So, thank you.